Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. I thought I would do a quick roundup video for Harmony One. This is a project that has been in my portfolio for a number of years. I think I first started getting into this one around 2020 in the beginning stages of the bull run. It was one that I added to my portfolio because I was watching a lot of cheeky crypto videos at the time. Which is still obviously a channel that's still going. Do highly recommend following those guys if you haven't done so already, Nick and Chris. And they had a multitude of projects that they were invested in at the time. I'm pretty sure they still are today with most of those. And I'm pretty sure Harmony One is definitely still on their portfolio books. And it's one that kind of stood out for me back then, not just because of that, but when I was doing my own research, of course, I looked into some of the really cool applications of it, and what it could potentially get to in that particular bull run that was coming up in 2021 and beyond that. We'll go into a bit more detail about that in a second, but of course, as always, don't forget to check out the other videos on the channel, and don't forget to smash that like button if you wouldn't mind doing so, and the subscribe button if you haven't done so already as well. Welcome to the channel if you're new, and of course, as always, to those that have been with us for some time, it's great to have you consistently with us throughout the journey. So let's talk about Harmony One quickly. Now, some of you might be sitting there going, well, why do I want to invest in this? Or maybe you've been holding this for a long time, you might have forgotten about it like I did till the other week. Hence why I'm kind of doing this update video, really, and maybe kind of posing the question, not just to myself, but to others out there. If you're still holding Harmony One, why? And if you're not, why as well? Answers to those questions. So for me, Harmony One kind of stood out, as I said, back when I was sort of getting into crypto for the first couple of years, is one that stood out. I would say actually there's a lot of chains out there, particularly like Solana as a network, for example, that's probably way superseded Harmony One. We'll go into a bit more information around that, our thoughts and feelings around that, and it kind of coincides as well with me holding Harmony One still and not really selling it until we see some market fruition. So Harmony One being a blockchain platform which was essentially designed to facilitate the development of decentralized applications, so many will know that as dApps. I guess one of the main things at the time was there was always a buzzword of scalability. It's a big word in blockchain, the ability to withstand multitude of network traffic, more people coming in to use your blockchain as a development program or a platform for coding and building that blockchain mechanism for their own dApps, for their own services, their own projects, right? So at that time, it was quite new to talk about transactions per second all the time, that development, but also the scalability factors, which is what I mentioned, especially where I talk about so many videos over the last few years that I've done about that scalability option is really important when we consider that not just financial transactions, but any transfer or an action comes under that scrutiny of scalability. So one thing that again that stood out quite nicely for Harmony One, which is still present today, of course, is their ability for sharding. Now, sharding was always quite an interesting thing, especially when back in the day Ethereum was so overly priced. I mean, it kind of is today, to be honest, still in this day and age. But the shading mechanism essentially allowed that high throughput, kind of linking with scalability again, really allowing it to process those thousands upon thousands of transactions per second while maintaining a low latency. These last few years, I would say Harmony kind of fell behind the pecking order when it comes to competitors out there, the likes of Solana, Avalanche, Polkadot. Some of those projects I invest in, of course, but it was really at the time something that really stood out as an exciting project, and it still could be one day. I think it's got a great team behind it still, good enthusiasm, good development opportunity. So who knows, it could be one of those like Polygon, for example, that follows the footsteps of Solana. Solana had an absolutely fantastic run, if you remember, a couple of years ago, leading up to what is now being built on by meme coins and other development programs on there as well. But yes, Harmony being integrated with Ethereum, of course, like other blockchains, and with other blockchains, of course, as well, enabled essentially like a seamless, for a better word, seamless cross-chain interoperable opportunity too. So it's native token 1 ONE on the exchanges, which is kind of what we're talking about now. That was relatively used for the transaction fee side of things. Of course, staking was a big thing and still is today. It's always got some good staking protocols out there, not just with the Harmony One wallet, but also through a number of exchanges that you can take advantage of that as well. And governance within the network. This is a big topic at that time as well, a few years ago. Not so much these days. I think that has faded out slightly, but there are some definite projects out there that continuously focus on that. I see on the screen right now just pinpointed some aspects of the ecosystems, the open developments there that they've got branded here. Some you will notice, of course, the likes of Chainlink, you've got Graph on there, you've got Pocket Networks that are massive as well. Loads of other different integrations and partners that they had over these years. So I think one of the key defining aspects here is to perhaps compare it with Solana. So Solana has that massive opportunity with the 65,000 plus transactions per second. Harmony One always boasted quite a high number as well. But Solana's high performance, I mean, wow, what an absolute ladder it has climbed these last couple of years. I think that's why developers jumped on this. I think they were fed up with the slowness, not the slowness of the networks as such, but the slowness of development opportunity with the likes of Polygon, with the likes of Harmony One. And Solana came out with this huge marketing, this aggressive marketing campaign. We saw a lot of venture capitalism coming into this. I think there's the likes of Almeida Research, etc., coming in and pushing the boundaries of Solana. So when that kind of thing occurred, after that 2021 run, when the bear market was creeping in, Solana took itself off, even against that tide. And I think Harmony One, along with other projects and other networks and chains, slipped into the remit of not necessarily disappearing, but becoming very quiet. So Harmony's maybe less prominent with its partnerships, its attention in that area. It still has capabilities, but Solana kind of pushed itself to be the one NFT marketplace that everyone should be going to. Mainstream brands should come here. Exchanges were taking on the Sol token as much as possible as well. So it's not for a question of technological ability. I think it's just that Solana as a team, as a strategy, pushed itself a lot further. I'm just using Solana as an example. As mentioned, many other ecosystems and networks out there can be definite examples against the likes of Harmony One as well. So for me, of course, yes, there's that technological design, the strategic execution that we just talked about. The funding as well, of course, made a massive difference between those two. But I still think there's an opportunity here. So why would investors like myself continue to hold the token or look at it moving forward? Well, that sharding technology is still there. It's still a viable solution and definitely something that needs to be considered for the years to come as well. And that interoperable aspect. There's not too many networks that boast the full interoperability. I think it's definitely something that more and more chains will always keep focusing on as these years go by, because that's so important. If we want these frameworks and these networks to work within the whole entire ecosystem of blockchain and business and sectors in general around the world, it has to do that. But yes, of course, in 2021, there was a massive broader crypto market boom. That's why the Harmony One token, I mean, we'll look at that quickly now as well on CoinMarketCap before we go into the actual charts on TradingView. You see, if I go to the all-time, you see the all-time high was about 35 cents. So this really orchestrates itself around that 2021 mark, as we can see on the screen right now. So there's a lot of the boom going on. The interoperability, the scalability narratives were big at that time as well. It's low cost ability in terms of transaction fees. All of these denominating factors were really important, things that they strived upon as narratives at that time. But then, of course, with the bridging of Ethereum, the cross-chain asset aspects, it was destined for really big things. But as I said, the bear market came at the wrong time maybe for its development, and then other chains took that time to develop faster and harder, more funding, more ability, and took it to another level. So it's kind of a bit of a shame, really, to see that execution sort of diminish a bit. But for me, it's still got that capability, still got that opportunity. Yes, of course, there are much stronger platforms on there. However, one thing I would say when we say, like, well, why would we hold that? I've mentioned a couple already, but also we've got to understand that it's low market valuation right now. So compared to its competitors, this could look quite attractive for an investor. So if it's got that technical ability and that opportunity in the network to have a big share of what's going to be a huge market in blockchain for the next 5 to 50 years, really, there's definitely an opportunity for long-term growth, in my opinion, still. So that's why I'm still holding it. I'm not giving up. And I've got a bit of a long way to go to take more profits. I didn't do anything really with Harmony One in 2021. I'd love it to even just get to that 20 cent mark, let alone the 35 again and beyond. But look how Solana pushed itself up. Look how other networks could potentially do the same. They were all sitting around these kind of prices, and all of a sudden, boom. So if the market goes well this year, as I said, there's loads of other projects to look at now. There's millions upon millions of extra cryptocurrency assets and tokens available to us on the markets right now. But still, we should remember some of these legacy ones, in my opinion. And Harmony One is definitely one of those still in my portfolio that I'm taking care of now. I've kind of forgot about it until a few weeks ago. But I'm starting to analyse, okay, where are my sell positions, my buy positions? You see this old fib level retracement markers here from a previous video I'd done. Must have been a couple of years ago now, the last update I've done on Harmony One. However, if we can just quickly look at perhaps the possibility of where Harmony One could get to in these sort of coming brackets for the next, say, 6 to 12 months. Well, if we zoom in quickly on this current momentum area of Harmony One, so literally the last few weeks have been quite progressive. We've had a bit of sideways traction on Harmony One in the chart, which we can kind of see that breakout here. But if you look, when we hit this previous high of 4 cents in the 8th of December, it's traced itself back down. We've got this sideways movement. If we can stabilize ourselves around this 2 to 3 cent mark, I truly think that we could start retesting that 3.9 to 4% mark again and potentially start edging ourselves up to here. So in a bull run in 2025, as I said, absolutely fantastic if we get to the previous all-time highs. But, realistically, conservatively, I've been using that word a few times this week in other videos, that 7 to 11 cent mark could be quite interesting. That's a fair few X's anyway from its current position. But I think if it really does well with its marketing and takes advantage of the bull run, takes advantage of the narratives that are kicking in. Bear in mind on the website at the moment, one of their key leading stories at the top of their page now, like with most, to be honest, at the moment, is around AI agents or AGI agents in that situation there for memes and DeFi. If it can solely secure itself on there, bring that narrative that Harmony One's been around for a long time. It knows what it's doing. The previous price points, etc. All these psychological things that people look at in the markets and when they're investing. There's no reason why this couldn't do really well. So it could potentially start pushing these higher regions, these higher brackets of 17 cents. I'm not going to go delving into the fact that we might still hit those previous all-time highs and beyond. It's absolutely a possibility. But in the short term, certainly for these next 6 to 12 months, in my opinion, we could at very least be looking at these different levels. And these different levels also coincide with me personally, with my strategy of seeing the resistance opportunities here of where to sell if I was buying at these current prices around 2.4 cents. You see on the bottom left hand side here the RSIs of 40 and 47. This is not financial advice, but for me personally and a part of my strategy over the years, these are areas of interest to take a bite, really, to start adding and accumulating. I haven't done so yet with Harmony One this week, but I sure will if it sustains this current price as it is. You can see on the performance indicators on the right hand side here, I think we're still in that sideways tracking, maybe potentially a slight move down as the markets have been bleeding the last 48 hours. However, on that 6 month and the year, it's looking really strong and equally relatively stable on that year to date also, albeit we haven't gone too far into the year. But it does show good strength, and it also shows how good the month or so before was, because we're now at a minus 42% on that monthly. So if we can keep that squeezed and these two as well, I think there's a good proposition for Harmony One in 2025. But I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions on this. Let us know in the comments below. I'm going to wrap this video up there. I'm trying to keep it short and sweet, but I just wanted to put it on everyone's radar if they haven't got it on there already, and also remind people who may be holding a Harmony 1 for some time now that there's definitely still promise there. Nothing's guaranteed. Everything's a risk always in markets and crypto especially, but I think there's definitely some legs in this for sure in 2025. Let us know what you think. Thanks for watching this video, guys. We'll see you in the next video update. Bye bye.